Okay, everybody. This is our third hangout with Santos and our friends from the Syncretism Flat Earth group. And today, I think Santos was wanting to just focus on astrology and how to read the birth charts. So we're going to give him the floor. Thank you for joining us again, everyone. And,
Thanks, Summer. Thanks, everyone.
mm-hmm.
All right, so this is going to be a series of presentations on astrology. I might do 10, I might do 20, and I'm just going to keep it simple. We're just going to learn how to read the chart. And we're going to do that by reading the charts, learning how to read the charts of people that we know, famous actors, famous people of history. We're going to have a look at all their charts and go through them, and we're going to learn how to read charts in that way. Before I do that, I'm going to do two presentations. Today's presentation will be 1 hour based on my sync rotor wheel. Why? Because the sync rotor wheel is a special wheel which deals with the essential dignities chart. Okay, so in astrology, if you go to Google Google Images and you punch in the words essential dignities, and what you'll get is all of this information here. It looks like a whole bunch of data there all over the place, but astrologers need this. This is very, very important. Every chart has dignity in it, essential dignity and accidental dignity. Essential dignity has to do with where a planet is placed in the signs. So, for instance, if the Sun is in Aries, all Arians have essential dignity. They have 4 points of essential dignity because there are the signs here. You see Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, all the way down. And you see the ruler of Aries is Mars. So if Mars is in Aries, this gives, let's have a look, should be there somewhere, 5 points of essential dignity. There it is. 5 points down the bottom. See that 5 points? Okay, so, but all Arians have the Sun in Aries, so they get 4 points of essential dignity. Whereas Leos, there's Leo, the Sun rules Leo, and all Leos have 5 points of essential dignity. This is the most dignity that you can get. You can't get more than 5 points. It's a bit like your Formula 1 or your any sports. At the Olympics, if you get gold, you're standing at the middle of the podium and you get a gold medal. So all Leos, everyone who's born under the sign of Leo gets 5 points, the most points, because the Sun is in Leo. And that's an essential dignity. It's like having a car with electric windows, cruise control. That's essentially a nice, classy car. So as you go along this chart, if you punch the word essential dignities into Google, you will get a whole bunch of these. And I chose this one to print out because it's colored and it looks really nice. But it shows here, there's all the signs. There's the 5 points. Here is 4 points. Here is 3 points. Here are 2 points. All of this gives you 2 points, the terms. And the face gives you 1 point. And then here is the detriments and the fall. I know that's a lot of information, but we're going to understand what the essential dignity chart is all about through my sync rotor wheel. So we're going to go to that right now. The other kind of dignities are accidental dignities, which mean where are the planets in the houses? So I've got, for instance, my sun is in Aries, so I get 4 points of essential dignity. But Aries and my sun are in the 7th house. So accidentally, they find themselves in the 7th house. And that's what's called an accidental dignity. So I can't teach you what that means right now, but there's 2 kinds of dignities. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go straight over to my Syncroter wheel, which is available on my universaltruthschool.com website. I have 6 graphics there. They are $20 each. But the Syncroter is available there. And it not only has all of this information, but it has much, much, much more. And so that's why I developed this wheel. I developed it so you could have the complete dignities chart possible. I don't think there is one in existence that has more detail than the Syncroter that I've developed. So let's do that right away. I believe I have to share my screen. So let's do that. And can you see my screen, please?
Indeed.
Alrighty. All right, that's the Syncroter wheel.
Okay, it went away.
Oh. Is that better?
Still nothing.
Okay.
It came up for a couple of seconds at the start.
I think I have to use another browser. Just excuse me.
No problem. Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to have some trouble here then, aren't I? Let's try this one.
It did pop up for a few seconds at the very start, Santos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it did hit our screens. We did see it.
All right. Let's try again then. How's that?
Yep. It's just a little bit off center.
Oh, yep. We got it. Oh, it's gone.
Then it's gone.
We had it for a few seconds.
Right. Okay.
Maybe
I'll
like
try
press something.
Google Chrome. Alrighty, I'm getting there, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Take your time.
All right. Let's try this one. Okay, can you see me now?
Yes, I see it.
All right.
We're good. Great. Awesome.
We're good?
Yep.
All righty. So this is the Syncroter wheel, folks, and as you can see, in the middle there is a man. This is Adam Cadmon. This is you. And the head is always touching the feet at 9 o'clock. And the head is Aries and the feet are Pisces. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a quick look at this, and then I'm going to go into my PowerPoint presentation where we have individual pies of 30 degrees. So we're going to sort of dwell on Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini, Cancer as we go around. So now this man, if you've followed my presentations on astrotheology, I always put Aries over here at 9 o'clock. So you have Aries over here, then you've got Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. As you can see, Cancer is up here where the Tropic of Cancer is, always appropriate to the journeying of the Sun as it goes up to the Tropic of Cancer, and opposite down the bottom is Capricorn down here, as you can see. Aries and Libra over here to the right. So all the cardinal signs are positioned perfectly accurate as they are supposed to be. So what you'll find is, if I enlarge this, you'll see that all the signs of the zodiac are in the head. So we start over here with Aries at the forehead, Taurus is the eyes, Gemini, the two twins, are the two nostrils, Cancer is the jaw and the teeth, Leo is the chin, Virgo is the throat here, Libra is the two olives or the two pyramids at the back of the neck, Scorpio is the back of the head, Capricorn is the ears, hence the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, and the rings on the ears indicate the rings of Saturn. Sagittarius is just above Scorpio at the back of the head. Aquarius, the water bearer, is at the top of the head where the fontanelle is, pouring in all of the cosmic energies through the top of the head through the fontanelle. And Pisces there is at the forehead just above Aries. And so this man, Adam Kadmon, is wrapped around appropriately according to the signs. As I said, Aries is over here at the top of the head. Now, the first concentric circle contains all the information about the cell salts. So what you have here is, in this section here, you have potassium phosphate, Caliphos, the salt of Aryans. And as you go around, you see sodium sulfate for Taurus, potassium chloride for Gemini, calcium fluoride for Cancer, magnesium phosphate Leo, potassium sulfate for Virgo, sodium sulfate, sodium phosphate for Libra, calcium sulfate for Scorpio, silica for Sagittarius, calcium phosphate for Capricorn, because of course Capricorn rules the skeletal system, sodium chloride for Aquarius, and iron phosphate for Pisces. Now, if you've seen my presentations, in particular Secret of Secrets presentation, I go through these salts and show how each one of us are deficient in salts. And those would be the salts of the sign you were born under and the next two. So in my case, me being Aryan, I am deficient in potassium phosphate for Aries, sodium sulfate for Taurus, sodium sulfate, and potassium chloride for Gemini. Now, what you'll find also here in the Sync Rota is it teaches you what parts each sign rules, and here we see Aries rules the cerebrum. Let me enlarge that a little bit. The cerebrum, the spinal cord, the sensory nerves, the face, and the lower jaw. Okay, here we have Taurus is the liver, the gallbladder, neck, throat, cerebellum. We go to Gemini, bronchial tubes, pleura, glands, shoulders, hands, lungs, all fibers and tissues. Cancer, elastic tissue, breast, stomach, spleen. Leo, the heart, of course, the motor nerves, the back and sides near the heart. Virgo, the solar plexus, oil, the bowels. Libra, the bladder, kidneys, acid neutralizer. Now, I won't do these bottom ones here because they're upside down. I've got a better way of presenting that. So, what I want to show now is the next rings. The next rings, this particular one here, what we're going to do now is we're going to go from this ring here all the way to the outside. And what I'm going to do is stop here and go to my PowerPoint presentation where I can show more detail. So let's exit here and we open this here, and here we are. You can still see me, can you?
Yeah, I see the presentation. Yeah.
Great. All right, so what we have here now is, so the inner concentric ring, we already have learned that deals with the cell salts. So should you want to do someone's chart and you have the Syncrota with you, it's actually a digital graphic, so you can keep it on your computer and you can take it down to your printers and get it posted, turned into a poster any size you want. You can have a massive poster for your wall, or you can have a small one that you can carry around with you in a you know, in a folder or something like that if you want to just quickly do someone's chart, for instance. Now, these next 4 concentric rings, they are dealing with the essential dignities. These are the actual dignities here. The first one is the fall. So you see the symbol in there, you'll see that Saturn is in there, in the purple ring there. Saturn falls in Aries. And that means Saturn gets a 4-point, it loses 4 points in that sign, okay? Because it falls, which is the opposite of an exaltation. Here is the exaltation ring, the one in yellow here, where the sun is. As I said before, the sun exalts in Aries, so the sun gets 4 points, and Saturn is opposite. He exalts in Libra, opposite of Aries, so therefore he loses 4 points. So if you have in your chart Saturn is in Aries, that's a bad place for Saturn, and you probably you know, would wish that you had maybe the Sun or Mars in there. The next ring has Libra in it. This is the detriment. So this tells you what planet is in detriment in Aries. And Venus does not like Aries because she's in detriment. She rules the opposite sign, which is Libra. So it's always dealing in opposites, okay? You'll see that when we get to Libra, you'll see that the opposite signs have essential dignity, whereas these planets lose their dignity. So the next ring, the third ring, is the exaltation. The sun exalts in Aries. That's a good thing. And then you see the red ring here, that is the ruler, Mars. Mars is the ruler of Aries. So just to recap that, we've got Saturn in Aries is falling, Venus is in detriment, the Sun is in exaltation, and Mars is the ruler. Okay. Now the next ring deals with the salts. So as you can see, this is the salt of potassium phosphate, and the chemical symbol for that, K3P04. It's a bit redundant to have that there because we've already got that in the first concentric ring, so you might just want to ignore that. Then the next concentric ring deals with the degrees of increasing fortune. Now, the 19th degree is the only one that has increasing fortune in Aries. Some signs, like for instance Taurus, as you can see, here's Taurus, and you can see Taurus has 3, the 3rd degree, the 15th degree, and the 27th degree. If you should have a planet, the sun or your ascendant on one of these degrees, you will have increasing fortune. Just to give you an example, John Lennon has his ascendant on the 19th degree of Aries. So he had an exceptional fortune in his life. Of course, one of the most well-known individuals in history. He also had a lot of bad luck, and we're going to see that in our third presentation in this series, because next week I'm going to present the subject of astrology after I present this Syncrota wheel today. Then next week we will have a presentation dealing with the science of astrology and all of its virtues and what people of antiquity have said about astrology. And then in the third week we're going to have a look at the charts of people like John Lennon, Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, and all of these people that we are very familiar with, and we're going to see how their particular charts have influenced their lives. Okay, so the next part deals with chronic illnesses, and these are called azaminas, chronic illnesses. As you can see, there is nothing chronic in Aries. Taurus has 4 degrees that are chronic, and those are the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 10th. So if you have a planet that has fallen in one of these degrees, you will find that you will have an illness, a chronic illness, which corresponds with this particular degree. The next concentric ring deals with world degrees. World degrees means all of these degrees, if there is a planet stuck on one of these degrees, it is in a well. In other words, if you fall in a well, you are limited in power. So whenever a planet is found on the 6th, 9th, 11th, 17th, 23rd or 29th degree of Aries, that planet is struggling. Let's say, for instance, it's Venus. In the chart of a man, that means that their love life is going to be a struggle, because Venus is found inside a well. Okay? And if it's Mercury, that will have to do with your communication. You'll find that the individual is struggling to communicate, or struggling with their intellect. Maybe they don't concentrate when they're studying. Maybe they stutter or stamina. Have what am I trying to say? Yeah, they stutter when they speak, and they have a speech impediment. If it's Jupiter, that means, you know, possibly their luck is found in a well, and they find that they're very unlucky. Well, that's what happens if a planet is found in the world degrees. Okay. Now the next 2 rings, they have to do with the triplicities. So you'll notice that there are 3 planets inside of them, and the blue one has to do with the night triplicities, and the red ring has to do with the day triplicities. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's easy. If you were born at night, say midnight, well then you have to consult this blue ring. It's no use consulting the red one, because that's for the daytime people. People who were born in the daytime belong to the diurnal sect. People who were born at night belong to a nocturnal sect. So it's very important that you establish this and you understand the difference between a chart that is diurnal, where the sun is above the horizon, or a chart that is nocturnal, where the sun is below the horizon. Now, let's give you an example of this really quickly, shall we? Because it's no use confusing you any further unless we understand what this means. So if we go to my astrology presentation, where are we? Astrology, there it is.
Yeah, just so you know, it's only stuck on one thing, and it's only the like it's a zoomed version of the slice of Aries. So if you're showing different slides, we only see one thing. So I just wanted to let you know, but it still correlates with what you're saying. So we're not lost by any means. We still see what you're talking about. But if you're trying to show us different slides, we haven't been seeing that.
Okay, yep, that's fine. Let's have a look. No, I haven't been going through the slides, so
Okay,
that's
I
all.
just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yep. So what we have now is John Lennon. So let's have a quick look at John Lennon. So can you see that?
No.
Oh, you should be able to see that now. John Lennon's chart, can't see it?
No.
Oh boy. What's gone wrong here now?
Okay, well, something happened. It seems to have unfrozen, but I still don't see John Lennon.
All right. How's that?
No.
Should be able to see it now?
Mm-mm. No.
Oh, this is very disappointing.
Oh,
All right.
what happened? No.
Nothing?
No.
All right, guys. I'm pretty sure that something is wrong with my system here. I probably don't have all the updated plugins, or something's wrong, because this is just.
Perhaps switch off your screen sharing and then switch it back on. Maybe that will handle it.
All right, how's that?
We see you, and now something. Yep, there we go.
All righty. Oh boy. Okay, so what we see now, can you see how the sun is below this arrow here?
Mm-hmm.
This is the 7th house cusp. John Lennon was born at night, so the sun had just set. This is the descendant here. So he belongs to the nocturnal sect. Okay? Here's Elvis Presley. Where is his sun? Well, it's below the horizon. He was born at 4:35 a.m., so he belongs also to the nocturnal sect. So anything that is below the ascendant here, okay? And there is the descendant. So this is the ascendant, this is the descendant. Everything above is daytime, everything below is nighttime. Here we have Muhammad Ali, nocturnal sect. Here we have Mary Sean Young, and her sun is way above, so she belongs to the diurnal sect. Okay? And let's go back to John Lennon, and as you see, his ascendant is on the 19th degree of Aries. This has given him much, much fortune in his life. Okay? That's the degree of increasing fortune. Now, all of this is, well, it's pretty useful information, but it's not going to be very beneficial right now, because we haven't even started learning the basics. So I've really put the cart before the horse here by going through the syncrota wheel, but what will happen is you'll have this recorded and in your archives, so you can always go back and learn how to use the syncrota wheel, okay? Now, can you see me still?
I can see the presentation, yes.
Great. All right, so so that's what I did, that to show you why and how these two concentric rings here are important. For the chart of, say, John Lennon, who belonged to the nocturnal sect, we need to use these 3 planets. These are called triplicities. What's a triplicity? Well, it indicates 3 things, doesn't it? Triple, triple. And what it means is there are 3 planets that rule every element. Aries is fire. So the rulers of fire are these 3 planets: Jupiter, the Sun, and Saturn. And that's the order by night. Whereas by day, the Sun is first, Jupiter is second, and Saturn is last. Saturn is always last. So these 3 planets rule the fire element. Now, why is that important? Well, because those 3 planets are the indicators for that element. So in astrology, whenever you come to a sign, let's say in the case of John Lennon, his ascendant is, let's see if I can pull that one up again. All right, let's just go to that. Can you see me still?
Yes, yes, we can, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, the ascendant is the indicator of the health of the individual. Okay, so John Lennon's ascendant is Aries. Okay. Now, we just saw that the rulers, the 3 triplicity rulers of Aries are by night, because he was born at night, Jupiter first, then the Sun, then Saturn. So Jupiter is going to be the ruler of his health for the first part of his life. Then, after about 30 years of life, the Sun kicks in. Then after another 30 years, the latter part of his life, Saturn kicks in. So what we need to do is we need to find those planets in his chart, and we look for Jupiter first, and we see that Jupiter is in the first house. So Jupiter is the indicator of his health for the first 30 years of his life. Then it will be the Sun, then it will be Saturn. So that's what the triplicity rulers are. Then if you go to the next house is the house of finance, down here, substance, money, wealth. And this arrow is pointing to Gemini. And Gemini is an air sign. So to find the air rulers of Gemini, what we do is we go back to our sync rotor wheel, and we go to Gemini.
We don't see the synchronism wheel.
What do you see now?
We see John Lennon.
Oh boy. Okay. I'll have to fix that.
It seems to work, but it'll freeze on, I don't know why.
All right, can you see that now?
No.
Wow.
It's okay. Oh, we see you.
All right. How's that?
Still see you.
Oh boy. Okay. Goodness me, I don't know what to do now. How can I fix this? Can you see that?
Yes. We can
All
see
right.
great. Perfectly. We see the mouse moving and everything. So maybe, I don't know if you like go full screen with it. But just I don't know. But now it's a blurry something.
All right. Can you see that?
I see nothing yet. It seems to be frozen on a blur, but that could be just for me. Does anybody else see what I'm seeing? Anybody? Okay, now it's just you. There
And
we go.
now?
Yep, we're good.
Oh,
So
thank
just,
goodness.
yeah, there you go.
All right, so what I wanted to show was Gemini. So Gemini is the air element, and as you can see, the rulers, the three rulers of the air element by night are Mercury, Saturn, then Jupiter. By day, Saturn is first, then Mercury, and Jupiter is always last. Okay, so let's try Taurus. So the rulers of the earth element are, by night, Moon, Venus, Mars. By day, Venus first, then the Moon, and Mars is always last. So you see the pattern? So the fire element, let's go back to Aries. So whenever you want to do double checking and you want to check the triplicity rulers of the element, you need to consult this triplicity rulers, okay? And we're going to learn how to use this. This is very important to know that every element, fire, air, earth, and water, has three ruling planets. So you know now that the rulers of fire are always the sun, of course, that's fire. Jupiter is always associated with fire. And Saturn, for some strange reason, is associated with fire. This is a very strange, perplexing thing that many astrologers don't understand. They think that Mars should be in here. They believe that the triplicity rulers of fire should be Jupiter, Sun, and Mars, and not Saturn. But there is a very good reason, which I won't go into right now, as to why Saturn has been chosen and been given to be one of the triplicity rulers of the fire element. Okay, let's move on. The next concentric circle is the biggest. It's a very thick one, as you can see here. And what it shows is the decans. Every sign is divided into three 10-degree segments. And what it shows you is the planetary ruler of that decan. The first one is Mars. Then the next 10 degrees from 11 degrees Aries to 20 degrees Aries is ruled by the Sun, as you can see here. And then Venus rules the last decan of Aries. Okay, these are called the decans, the faces. All right, as you can see there, faces, decans. It also teaches you which constellation rules, because there are three constellations in every sign. In Aries, there are three constellations: Cassiopeia, Cetus, and Perseus. Cassiopeia is the first one, and you'll notice that it is in blue. The reason it is in blue is because it is a northern constellation. The red one, Cetus, is a southern constellation. It is below the ecliptic. Okay, so all the Aries is on the ecliptic because all the astrological signs are always on the zodiac ecliptic. But the decans, the extra zodiacal signs such as Cassiopeia, Cetus, and Perseus, they can either be below, south of the ecliptic, the celestial equator, or north of. And so the red indicates south and the blue indicates north. So you will always know that Perseus is always north of the ecliptic. So you'll find Perseus in the northern regions, and so it will be next to Cassiopeia. Also, you see the illnesses. The first decan of Aries deals with the skull. The skull is affected if there is a planet that is badly aspecting right there in the first 10 degrees of Aries. The native might find he'll have problems with the skull. Okay. The middle 10 degrees have to do with migraines. I've found many people suffering with migraines if they have a badly aspected planet within those degrees, and the last one has to do with concentration. And the concentration is affected if there is a planet in the last 10 degrees of Aries. So, but these are the general illnesses. On the outside here, you see the specific degrees, right? So let's go to those now, because we're dealing with the illnesses, and it works in conjunction with this concentric circle here. Can you see where my cursor is there, Summer?
Move it again? No. It's frozen on the thing.
Okay, that's a shame.
No.
Truly a shame. I really wished I could present this properly. I think I have problems with my computer. I've been trying to do PowerPoint presentations like this, but it's just not working. Never mind. On the outside here, you'll see all of the degrees of illnesses, and goiter is to be found on the 3rd and 4th degrees of Aries. I hope you can see that. I've got my cursor pointing to it, but probably you can't see it. Then jaundice on the 6th and 7th degrees of Aries. So these outside illnesses, I've taken those from a wonderful book by Judith Hill. Judith Hill needs to be acknowledged for these. She put these together, and so acknowledgements to her and credit to Judith Hill, one of the world's greatest astrologers. So if you're doing someone's chart and you can't find a specific degree, or for instance, let's say the Sun is in the 2nd degree of Aries. Well, you'll go to this outer ring here and you'll find that there is no particular planet, no particular illness. So then what you do is you go to the decan over here, which is this thick concentric ring, and you'll find that the skull will be affected. Okay, is that clear?
Yes. I'm actually going to suggest something. I noticed that you go over to the, I think it's the left-hand corner, the top left-hand corner, and you press something to make the screen larger. Maybe if you didn't do that and you just presented it as it is, it wouldn't freeze up. That's just a suggestion. Yeah, there you go. See, it's already, there you go. There we go. I can see your cursor and everything.
Okay, alrighty. So what I was showing was we've got up to this ring here, and then I jumped to the outside ring over here, where we found all the specific illnesses. So these are all the degrees that have illnesses found in them in Aries. As I was saying before, goiter in the 3rd degree. But as I said, if someone has a planet on the, say, 5th degree of Aries, well, as you can see, there is nothing there, is there? So then you would go to this ring here to find the illness of the individual, and that will be the skull. Okay? So the next concentric ring has to do with the dark, the smoky, and the empty degrees. So some people have dark complexion because they have a planet in one of these dark sections. I, for instance, my Sun is in the 2nd degree of Aries, right here in this dark bit here, and I have very dark skin. In my family, I am the blackest. All the rest of my family are pretty fair-skinned, and I'm just the only one that's dark. And I've done the charts of the rest of my family, and they have their Sun is in lighter degrees. So my father's dark too. He also has his Sun in dark degrees. But there you go. The first 3 degrees of Aries are dark. The next 4 degrees are what's called white degrees. And there are no smoky ones here. Let's see if Taurus has any. Yes, Taurus has some smoky degrees here. Empty. Yeah. All right. So, and this will affect many things in the many details in the chart of the nativity. Okay, so that's that one. The next ring is called the dodecatemoria. Now, what this is these are the 12 signs within a sign. As you can see, Aries is the first one here, then Taurus, then Gemini, all in a row, all perfectly lined up. And so those signs now take up 2.5 degrees. And this is also very very important to know the dodecatemoria. For instance, I'm Arian, and I was born in the sign, the dodecatemoria of Aries. So I have extra Arian energy because I was born in the first 2.5 degrees of Aries. Someone born, say, 20 minutes after me, they'll be born in the dodecatemoria of Taurus. So they will have a more earthy Arian energy. Softer, slightly softer, because the degrees, 2.5 degrees to 5 degrees of Aries is ruled by Taurus. So it has more of an earthy energy about it. So again, this is why there is so much differing energy within a sign. You might meet someone from Aries who is, you know, so different to another Arian that you know, and and so on and so forth. You'll find that that's because of all of these different dynamics, and the dodecatemorians influence this very, very much. And there's other information that you can glean from the dodecatemorian. Okay? Now, the next concentric ring deals with masculine and feminine degrees. This is how you can find whether someone's going to have masculine or feminine children, by consulting these degrees. And you will find information about, if you want to find out information when you're doing questions, when you're asking questions in astrology, you can find out if the person who you're wanting information about is male or female. Okay? And finally, the two outer rings have to do with the terms. The terms are also very important in the essential dignities chart, because every planet rules certain terms. So, for instance, the first degrees of Aries, as you can see, are ruled by, the first 6 degrees are ruled by Jupiter. Then the next 8 degrees are ruled by Venus. Then Mercury, then Mars, and then Saturn. So you'll see that the 5 planets have rulerships in terms. The terms are never equal. And the first ring here is the Ptolemaic terms. Ptolemy was a 2nd century Roman astrologer, very, very famous, the most famous astrologer in history. And next to it is the Egyptian terms. The Egyptians claim that their terms are more accurate. So instead of being partial to Ptolemy or the Egyptians, I have decided to put both sets of terms in here. And so you can choose whether you want to be faithful to the Egyptians or faithful to the most famous astrologer in history, who claimed that his terms were the most accurate because he discovered a book which no one else in history had ever discovered. And he learned that that his terms were very, very special. So I like to lean towards Ptolemy, simply because of his fame and simply because he boasted that his terms were the best.
Now, when... Uh-oh. There's an echo. Is that my fault?
Try now. How's that?
How far after did Ptolemy introduce his terms?
Good question. The Egyptians probably had their terms since time immemorial, because many historians claim that the Egyptians have 450,000 years of astrological records.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's why I insisted on putting them there. Also, it gives the astrologer an option. If they don't like the terms that a planet is found in the Ptolemaic system, they can soften the blow by going to the Egyptian terms. Okay, now I don't know whether that's, you know, a very reliable way of doing things, but the fact that the terms are different in many, many different schools has perplexed astrologers, but nonetheless, you will find that if you do stick to a system, you will find eventually that you will get accuracy from them. Now, why are the terms important? Well, because the terms give 3 points of essential dignity. Now, remember, the ruler of the house gives 5 points. So, if you've got Mars in Aries, you've already got 5 points of essential dignity. And that means if your chart is dignified, that means it has a lot of dignity. It has a lot of luck and blessings. Most people don't have any planets dignified, which means they are all peregrine. Peregrine means they're off wandering. They're found in planets in signs that are not really beneficial to them, and they're not very harmonious in those particular signs. For instance, if you had your Mars was in Taurus in your birth chart, well, that's a peregrine Mars, because Mars does not rule Taurus. Mars rules Aries. So you'd want to find your you'd want your Mars to be in Aries, or Scorpio, which is another sign where Mars rejoices. So, but failing that, if for instance you have Jupiter in Aries in the first, say, 5 degrees of Aries, well, you pick up 3 points, because the first 6 degrees of Aries belong to Jupiter. So this is why you need the chart of essential dignities, because even though a planet might be peregrine, it still might be found in its terms, or it might be found in its decan, or its face, and it'll pick up 1 or 2 points. Remember, the faces are here in the middle here in this large concentric circle here. And so, for instance, let's say your Mars is in Aries and it's in the first 10 degrees. Well, you've already got 5 points because Mars rules Aries, and you pick up another 3 points because Mars is in its face or in its decan. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to apologize to you because you guys are beginners and all of this has gone way, way over your head. But in 10 weeks' time, and even down the track, you will always have this, and you'll always know how to work the table of essential dignities. And so that's why it's very, very important to know these dignities and all of this extra information, because you can actually do cross-checking and find further information about individuals, whether they've got any particular sicknesses that could be coming up, whether their planets are in a well or in a degree of increasing fortune or chronic illness, or whether their planet is in a good spot, like, for instance, a dark degree or a light degree or a smoky one, or whether it's in a feminine or a masculine degree, so you can work out the sex or the gender of the question you want to ask, and so on and so forth. So that's it. That's how to look at the essential dignities. And I think we can fire away some questions.
Wonderful.
So,
Okay, so just to, we only have one question in the Q&A, so I just wanted to address that, even though it wasn't really relating to this. It was right in the beginning. Spirit Journey asked, what about the 13th sign? I read that there is a 13th sign called a fucus. Is that demonic teachings?
No, no, it's not demonic at all. It's totally another system. The Egyptian system and the tropical system, there is only 12, and there only ever will be. The system of 13, this is more sort of a lunar system, and whoever wants to work that system, well and good. There's nothing wrong with it. I've heard people denounce it and criticize it and attack it, and that's unfounded. It's a lunar system. There is another system which has 27 or 28 mansions, and those are the lunar mansions of 13 degrees each. We can eventually get to those. We can eventually go through those and have a look at them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to dabble in those, that's fine. But the system that I'm teaching is based on 12. It's Babylonian, it's Egyptian, it's Grecian, it's Roman, and it's also Indian. The sidereal astrologers from India subscribe to this. The Chinese system has 12. The Mayan system, and so 12 is the most suitable because it's the one that is divisible into 360 degrees, the best. And so for this, the purpose of this study, we should stick with the 12. And then perhaps we can have a look at the 13 system one day and see how that works.
Okay.
All right. So if we don't have any more questions, what we can do is we can begin our lovely little presentation on astrology. How would you like that?
No, go ahead.
All right. So.
No, I think Mehmet had a question, and Elaine had a question as well. Elaine's mic is not working, but Mehmet's is. So go ahead.
Okay, hi Santos. You was talking about skin color thing earlier.
Yep.
I was looking up some stuff about how I've heard if your melanin is darker, because you can absorb the sun more, you're more in touch with the creator, or you're more in touch with the cosmos. Is there any truth behind that?
Look, you know what? I'm not sure. I've heard this many, many times before too, and I'm going to have to defer to others on that. But I have heard it many, many times. It's compelling. But I see that there are fair-skinned people who are exceedingly spiritual, and dark-skinned people who are not so spiritual. So, I also see that the caste system, which is supposedly well, there is a caste system that was created by the Creator. And the Brahmins, of course, are a high caste, the highest caste, and they have to do with the head. They are the philosophical teaching class, and then the Kshatriyas are the military and administrative class, and then there's the next class, or you could call it the caste, which are the merchants and the farmers, and then the Sudras below that, the labourers and what have you. But in some families you have different castes, so not all families not all individuals born in the same family belong to the Brahmana caste, which is the highest caste. And that is determined by the individual's actions. So I'll have to leave that one. I can't give you a solid answer on that, unfortunately.
That's fine. Thank you anyway.
I have heard the same thing, Emmett, by the way. So, and I hope I'm safe. I'm probably with it. So.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard it many, many times. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be clinging to things like that, because my belief is that each individual carries their own load and does their own good work and sublimates their lower energies and transmutes according to their good deeds, regardless of whether they were born into a rich family or a poor family. You know, there are rich people who are evildoers, and there are very, very poor people who are the kindest and most beautiful angelic souls. And so rich, poor, caste, colour, creed, you know, all of these things, you'll find that some churchgoers are worse than people who are atheists. You know, so.
And again, this is just a body, so you can't really judge somebody by their body. You know, it's just a suit. So, yeah. And Elaine, your mic is working now, so go ahead and ask your question.
It works now? I'll
Yeah.
ask it. My question is, these systems, like the 12th system and the 13th systems, do they have something? Do they relate with each other?
Yes, they all relate with each other, and they all harmonise and they all syncretize. There's no doubt about that. Whilst I believe that the tropical system is the most accurate in the world, more accurate than the sidereal, I still respect the sidereal and see that they have much accuracy too. And now that I understand the true geocentric flat Earth model of astrology, I understand how it is that both systems can have great influence. The ecliptic of the sun is the primary influence, and that's the tropical system. So, in other words, what you have is so if I do my Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, equator across here, and then I do my circle like this, as you've seen me do in many of my presentations. All of the constellations are 30 degrees each. So Aries is 30 degrees on the ecliptic. Whereas in the sidereal system, Aries is a little bit smaller. It's only about, 20-something degrees. And then Taurus again is a large one. It's probably more than 30 degrees. Virgo is one of the largest ones. It's way bigger than 30 degrees. So again, in the sidereal system, you have people arguing that the signs should not all be of equal size, and they should be star-based, which means that the constellations should correspond with the sidereal system, but this is not so. And the primary influence of all of the signs comes from the ecliptic. As Thomas H. Burgoyne explains in his book, The Light of Egypt, Science of the Soul and the Stars, the primary influence of astrology comes from the sun on the ecliptic. And so in the tropical system, these are the tropical points. Here, 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 and here. And so you have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, and those are the 4 tropical points. And so Aries will never move from there. So when March the 21st comes, every year Aries begins. And then April the 21st, every year is where Taurus begins. And so the constellations are found on the ecliptic. Whereas these days, on March the 21st, Aquarius now is popping its head up here. So it's shifted due to precessional slippage, precession of the equinox. And so on March the 21st, when you go out into the at 6:30 in the morning, you go out and you look at the stars that are coming up, you'll find that Aries is already up and Aquarius is coming at this point here on the horizon. And so there's been a slippage. And what the sidereal system does is it says now that instead of, say, for instance, me being Arian, I'm a Piscean, because Pisces now occupies that spot. And so it might be worth clarifying this point right now. Many people write to me from time to time and they say, well, I went into Stellarium and I see that the sun is, for instance, now it should be in Aquarius, right? It's the 2nd of February. Mm-hmm. And they'll say, well, why is it that Capricorn is there? Well, it's easy, because that's an astronomical website. It's not astrological. So if you go to an astrological website and you put today's details in, it will tell you that you are in Aquarius, because it is following the tropical ecliptic. So all of your tropical websites, all of them, they will tell you astrologically where the sun is. But if you go to the astronomical websites, what you'll find, on the other hand, is there's been a shift. So let's do that right now, shall we? I'll open a browser and show you what I mean. So what we need to do, can you see my screen now?
No.
Okay, well, you should in a minute.
Yep. No. Yep.
Yep. Now, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this is called media.skysurvey.org. Okay. This is basically just astronomical, right? So let's have a look at where the sun is. So here is the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and you can see here there is Scorpio over here and Sagittarius. So if we go down this way, we're going to look for where the sun is. And how's about that? It's not even on there. It must be because of my bandwidth. It might be struggling. Oh, what a shame. Okay, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pop this in the chat there for you guys.
Okay.
You can click on it later on.
Mm-hmm.
And what it will show, when you've got good bandwidth, I'm having a hell of a day today, aren't I? Well, it should have had the sun somewhere here,
Mm-hmm.
And it normally does. For some reason today, the planets are not showing. But this is an astronomical site, guys. It's not astrological,
Mm-hmm.
and so it will show you. It will show you physically where the sun is, and the sun is not physically in Aquarius. It's in Capricorn. So it's out of whack with the tropical astrological system. And so the sidereal system in the east, they go with this astronomical placement of the stars, you see. And so, and I do believe that it does have influence, but it's not a primary influence, and it's definitely not. It does not penetrate into the physical reality of things, because when you look at people's facial features, you can see that the traits of the sign are clearly only corresponding with the tropical system. I've had sidereal astrologers try to tell me that they are, for instance, Virgo, when I can see clearly that that they're not. They're Libran, or they say that they you know, or any other sign like that, and you can see that the sidereal influence has not penetrated into the physical part of the body. I believe that sidereal astrology is only accurate in psychic readings, things to do with the mind, the emotions, spiritual things, less so than medical and physical aspects. So shame about that. I couldn't get that to work, but I think you understand the point. There is a sidereal system and a tropical system.
And with that being said, Haken actually had a question. He said, Santos, do you make decisions regarding individuals based on their on reading their charts?
Yeah. Yep. How we do that, we're going to learn that eventually. What we're going to do is we're going to learn how to read the chart, basically, and then we are going to learn how to progress the chart. For instance, right, my birthday is the 24th of March. So my native chart, which I can show you right now. So there's my chart. And as you can see, I have a lot of action going on here in the 7th house. Here is the ascendant over here. And you can see I have Uranus is the first planet rising. So my nature is very Uranian. These planets, Neptune and Pluto, sorry, Uranus and Pluto, really define my my personality and character here. Okay, so, but what happens is, if you take my birthday, which is the 24th of March, and you add the years of my life, which are 52, and you add that to the sun's degrees, it will bring you to, instead of the 24th of March, it'll bring you to the 14th of, sorry, back this way, it'll bring you to the 14th of May in Gemini. Sorry, in Taurus.
Yeah, Taurus.
Yeah, 14th of May. Okay, so basically, what I've done now is I've progressed my chart by 52 degrees. So I grab my sun and I add 52 days or 52 degrees, and I come to here, somewhere around here.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens then is all of the planets have changed. They've all moved. And this movement determines what transits and what conjunctions and what energies are going to occur in my 52nd year of life. So a very important part of astrology is learning how to do these what's called solar progressions, where you progress the chart by a day for a degree of your life. So, for instance, if you're 32 years
Santos, hold on. Somebody muted you. Just 1 second. Just everything you said we can't see, and I can't unmute you for some reason. It said.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, you've muted again.
Yeah, he muted you again. Good old Basil gentleman over there.
Basil. Okay, we're good. We're good.
All good?
Yeah, go ahead and repeat everything you just said.
All right, so if you're say 32 years old now, okay, and you were born on the 5th of May, well, what you do is you add 32 degrees to your sun, or 32 days, and that will bring you up to your new year. So you can have a look at the year and see how your year is going to go, your current year of life, by progressing the chart 1 year for 1 degree. And so I was born on the 24th of March. I'm 52, so that brings me up to the 14th of May. Next year, the 15th of May. So what I do is I need to compare my natal chart over here, and next year, on the 24th of March, when I turn 53, I add 53 degrees to here, and it'll bring me to the 15th of May, and I will compare both charts. And I will see where the Sun is. The Sun will be now over here in Taurus, which will give me, Taurus is an earthy sign. It will give me some grounding. It'll help me to be more grounded, more earthy, more practical, more skillful in practical ways. It'll give me more philosophical abilities. Taurus is the sign of philosophy, speaking, because the mouth. It'll probably help me to be a better singer, because my Sun now is transiting Taurus. But not only the Sun, you'll see that the other planets have moved positions. And if the planets are transiting one of your bad aspects, you will find that that will manifest in your daily life. And this is why it's very important to do progressions, especially solar progressions, or what's called secondary progressions, so you can see whether harmful things or lucky things are coming your way. So we're going to learn how to do that eventually.
That's awesome.
That's called progressing the chart.
Great. Anybody else with
Okay,
any
any more?
questions?
I have a comment about reading the characteristics of people from the chart.
Yep.
I do believe that all these characteristics, we have this fundamental attachment to one of the characters, and over time we develop traits and like a secondary traits of different characteristics of this chart. But if you look deeply into someone and learn how to see people's behavior, you can kind of see where their fundamental characteristic is.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's always changing, but it's always pinned to the original birth chart. Those dynamics will never ever change. But from time to time they will be alleviated or they will be strengthened depending on the transits, depending on the progression of the chart and how everything progresses through your life. So you will find, if you progress the chart of, say, John Lennon to the day he died, you will find the reason astrologically why he died or how he died. You will find it in his chart. I've seen it.
Maybe he was aware of it too.
Yeah, who knows? But certainly I've done this many times with certain ones who have died, like James Dean, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and I've progressed their chart from their natal chart, which is easy to do because you can see them online. All you've got to do is go to Google and put in Michael Jackson birth chart, and AstroTheme has all of his details there. Then all you have to do is count the years that he lived to, and then the time that he died, and progress the chart up until then, and you will see the reason. You'll see how it happened. You'll probably see, Saturn in the 6th house or in the 12th house, one of the nasty houses, or the 8th house, which is the house of death. And time again you will discover the coincidences with the planets in the progressed chart. It's quite scary. The science is impeccable.
Wow.
Yeah, that is quite interesting.
Yeah, and there are many kinds of progressions too. There's tertiary progressions, there's lunar progressions. You can progress the chart 1 year per lunar month, and you can get more details like that just by progressing the moon. You see,
I
So,
can't
and or
be able to
implying
see this for myself because I try and it's just not. I can't really learn from a computer. You know what I'm saying? So.
no, no. This is why the way I'm going to do it is really just a it's simple. It's going to be very simple. We're going to have a look at people's charts that we know, and we will know their characteristics enough to be able to see the correspondences in their chart. I think that is the best way to learn astrology. So I'm going to take you guys through it really, really slowly, explain all the way the houses work, how to read a chart. Today basically we just learnt about the essential dignities and how a planet can be dignified by being in its correct sign, or how it can lose dignity by being outside of its correct sign. And so, you know, we've sort of put the cart before the wheel, the horse here, and but it's going to be very, very handy, because next week what I'm going to do is we do a PowerPoint presentation discussing the essentials, more of the essentials of astrology, and then the week after, bang, we go straight into the charts of all the famous people, and we're going to be able to learn how to read it that way.
Sounds great.
Yep,
Santos, are you
it's very
implying,
exciting.
Santos, are you implying that even your death is written in the stars, or is this just a way to see, okay, those days are dangerous, and to chill out, to sit at home? What is it? I don't get it.
Both, brother. The wise man rules his star. The fool is ruled by his stars. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, you can. It's like this. If you're driving in your car and you hear a noise in the motor, and it's quite a disturbing noise, clunkety, clunkety, clunk. Well, the fool will say, "Oh, well, that's interesting," and turn the music up, so it drowns out the noise. Okay, but the wise man will stop, and he will not let that weakness fulfill itself. He won't let you know, the overheating crack the head, and hence blow the motor. Whereas the fool, and you see this happen many, many times, people ignore the warning signs. You know, there's a leak in the radiator, and off they go, and they don't check the water all the time. And so you've got to have a look at the leaks in your chart and see if you progress the chart. See, some people don't really go into so much detail. For instance, if you're going to be progressing the chart every day and worried about whether you're going to die tomorrow or today, or you're going to restrict your life. You're crippling your life, and you're going to be doing like what the Bible says: the fool does not step outdoors because there could be a lion in the street. So you see these people who are paranoid and they stay home because they're afraid that they might get scratched, or they might get hit by a car, or that, who knows, all the dreaded things that they conjure up in their mind, and so they get depressed and they stay at home and they become foolish because they're not bold enough to go out and just challenge, you know, and because once bitten, twice shy. So we have to be. Astrology is not a science that you want to control you. You need to control it. I never get too concerned about a bad moon. For instance, I've been to court and had success when the moon has been in a very, very bad mansion. And I've had great luck when the moon has been in good mansions, and also I've had bad luck. You see, because there are other mitigating circumstances, and there are other things that perhaps you're not capable of knowing because your knowledge is not vast enough. This is where little knowledge is a dangerous thing. You might see that the moon is in a good mansion, and you might go off and say, well, I'm going to go and do that job application. I'm going to go and apply for this job because the moon is on my north node. I'm bound to get it. But in this particular month, last month it might have been a lucky moon, but in this particular month, it might actually be squaring with Mars or Saturn whilst it's on the north node, and that might bring a turnaround of events where you're not having luck, you're actually going to have bad luck, and that's unforeseen, and you tricked yourself because your knowledge was not complete. And so
that is why a lot of characters in the past in history did have highly regarded astrologers, correct? They were literal advisors, like literally advising them what moves to make.
I can't remember who said this, but it was like J.P. Morgan. He said millionaires don't have astrologers, billionaires do.
Yeah, and again, much ill repute has been brought to the science, the holy science of astrology, through the bad practices of astrologers. The same with law. You know, good laws have been disgraced by the bad practices of lawyers. And so you'll find in the scriptures Jesus is condemning the lawyers. He's not condemning law, because he said, I came to fulfill the law. And so law is not abhorrent, but lawyers are abhorrent. And so you'll find that astrologers mess up. I mean, I've messed up. I've messed up for myself because I looked at this, but I didn't look at that. And so you've got to be thorough. And this is why when I do the chart reading for someone, I just basically do the essential basic things and the things that are obvious and stand out and that can be read, that won't be influenced by other circumstances or other factors. And so you need to be careful. You need to be very diligent, and you need to be very, very prudent when you study astrology. So what I'm going to give you is the basic essentials, and from there you'll be able to fly like an eagle.
Fantastic. And also one last question from Hakan. He wanted to say that last week you said you were going to say something about Aquarius, like out of the book that you were speaking of, the facial features and the characteristics, and you said that you would do 2 every session. So if you wanted to do that, he mentioned that he would love to know more about Aquarius, because you said you were going to do Aquarius this week.
Well, yes, I'm going to do that on my Thursday call. So what I've got now lined up is astrology, reading the chart only for today.
Okay.
Only. So today is really only for reading the chart. Tomorrow will be for with Kimmy. We're going to and it'll be 3 hours earlier than today's show. Tomorrow's. Okay, so it'll be 3 hours earlier. Rather than my 11 o'clock, it'll be my 8 o'clock, which will be 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm an hour earlier because due to daylight savings time to the rest of Eastern Australia. So, but it'll be 3 hours earlier, and it'll be dealing with good health, vegan diet, and other demon-slaying subjects, you know, knocking falsehoods off their pedestals. We're just going to knock them right off. And then the Thursday, I'm going to do general science, and I'm going to do me books. We're going to do cell salts. We're going to go through the personality of the Zodiac book to go through all the facial features. So, and that's just totally different to reading the chart. So you'll have to wait for Thursday, Hakan.
I'm sure he'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Yep. No worries. All right. So I don't think I'll do start the presentation because I might give that, just do it in one hit next week, and then it'll be like an introduction, another introduction, and then bang, we're going to go straight into all the famous people and we're going to learn their charts.
Great. Sounds awesome.
So unless there are any more questions, I reckon we can wrap it up now.
Okay.
Could I ask one more quick question?
Absolutely.
It's more regarding the flat Earth, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching a video of Graham Hancock recently where he talks about the Piri-Reis maps and explains how before they even knew that, or they contemplated that the world was a sphere, all the measurements on the map were right. So how could they be right if they didn't know it was a sphere, but it still matches up to the sphere map? So I'm thinking maybe that's an indication, another indication that they did know the measurements and the world was flat, if that makes sense.
I don't quite understand the question,
Okay,
but
shall I quickly repeat it?
Yeah, have another go.
Yeah, basically I was watching a video of Graham Hancock and he was talking about old maps, old source maps, and he was saying that all the measurements on the maps were right, but back then they didn't know the world was a sphere. So, and he's saying if I was thinking, how could they be right if they didn't know it was a sphere? That's what I'm a bit confused about. So I was just thinking what your opinion on that is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no map is really 100% accurate these days, and that's what we're finding. And not even the Piri-Reis. He was a Turkish. He was a Turkish
Admiral.
Admiral, yeah. And what some of the details of Antarctica and some of the details in his map are still astounding us these days. And so we just wonder how they got all their information. And so my belief is that the Jesuits, when they started up with Copernicus, it's funny because Copernicus and the Jesuits were contemporary when the Jesuits were founded in 1538 and Copernicus wrote his revolutions in 1543. So that's 5 years after the Jesuits were founded. So you can see a connection there. I'm pretty sure and confident that they went around and destroyed all the flat Earth maps in existence because they had the power. They own and control all the institutions. They know how to do this. They know how to destroy knowledge and rewrite history. And they also went after astrology. So if these lines here going out from the center of the flat Earth map, they can quite easily be transposed to a sphere, you see? So because let's say we've got Australia over here and South America, and by the way, South America is much closer to Australia than directly opposite. They say it's opposite, but it's not. It's only about 120 degrees. So what they would have done was they would have just projected that from the planisphere, stereographic planisphere, around to a ball. And so just wrapped it around so that, you know, the equator would be here, and then all of these...
So it makes Antarctica go at the bottom.
Yeah, well, all around here.
Yeah.
And around to the bottom. So they would have just followed the lines. You see, the thing is, we don't have the maps that Piri-Reis sourced to make his map. This is why Graham Hancock marvels at the Piri-Reis map, because where did he get his information from? It was so accurate, you know. But look, the thing about the flat Earth map is that many of the navigators who tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, thinking it was at the South Pole, spent years and years and years and never actually finally got around, because this is the true situation. You know, it's a planisphere projection. And so many sea captains got lost in the southern hemisphere and found that they were always days behind their schedule. You know, going with their sextants, they would have their sextants and their astrolabs and what have you, and they were always days and days behind, losing days. So you know, the maps are not accurate. The globe maps are definitely not accurate. Neither are the flat Earth ones.
Okay, thank you.
It's very hard for someone like you and I to sort of comment on it.
Yeah.
I have a comment. On it.
Yep.
Okay, I think that, you know how you can just close your eyes and you can feel your feet, you can feel your legs if you think about it, you can feel your hands, you can feel your nose, so you can kind of tell how your body is shaped just by thinking how it feels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
I think that the Earth or the planet is kind of like the same thing. It's conscious. The conscious of the planet feels itself, and I believe that through meditation and a very deep level of tapping into the planet through developing a relationship with it, I believe that we can kind of through our psyche develop a way to see how the planet looks like a map, like on a map.
Mm.
Yeah, I think so. I think this power is going to return to us. In fact, I think it is partially returned. I would say it's probably about 50% returned. This is why so many good, intelligent, loving, light beings like we on this call are seeing it. We are seeing it. We're actually starting to see the nature of it, that it just can't be a spinning ball. It simply can't be. And so we are awakening, and as we go through the next couple of years, there's going to be much, much more awakening, and we're going to have visions of it from our third eye. You know, we will be able to see what our mother really looks like. For sure, and this is why people are starting to see it, and why the media is so scared. You can see the page shills are just, all they're doing is they're not bringing any evidences. There's never been one individual in history that has one fact or one evidence or one proof that we live on a spinning globe. All they have is false premises and assumptions. So they start with their false assumptions, and then they go down that tangent from a false presumption. And so they'll say, for instance, oh, well, we can see time-lapse cameras, images showing the bullseye star trails, and that proves that we're on a spinning ball. Well, it doesn't, because we are not just spinning and rotating on the axis, we are also orbiting, including 2 other motions, so that's 4 motions, so that cancels, totally cancels it. I say to people, you know, I just say simply, just think about that. Just stop and meditate about that until you get it. Because until such time as you get that, see, Copernicus, they didn't have time-lapse cameras. They didn't have the benefit of seeing these beautiful trails, star trails that are perfectly circular, which proves beyond any doubt that that up there is moving, and this below our feet has to be flat and plain, and we are upright, and everything that is up, and everything that is down, because the moment, fair enough, you can get that effect if you're standing at the North Pole and you're on a ball that's rotating, then you'll see those stars rotating because you are rotating perfectly at the center of all of the stars, or at least directly below Polaris. Polaris has to be directly above your head, and your axis has to be directly aligned with Polaris to get that effect. And the Earth, if it's a globe, has to be only spinning. There can't be any orbit to it at all, because the rotation is happening like that, as it's rotating as it's orbiting. So the star trails, they have to be in a line. They can't be doing circles. They have to follow the orbit. They have to be obedient to that orbit. So there's got to be a little bit of rotation, but there's got to be a lot more orbit, because the orbit is faster than the rotation. The orbit is 670,000 miles an hour. So two motions cancel those star trails. But besides, there's not only two. There's four. You've got to remember, they say we're rotating, orbiting, hurtling through around the Milky Way galaxy, around the outer rim, at 550,000 miles an hour, right? And then the whole galaxy is also just being, you know, hurtled through space at, I think it's 67 million miles an hour or something like that, something totally ridiculous. So four motions cancel out that one, because that effect of the star trails can only result from one thing moving, not two.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure if you sat down and you really tried to meditate on a moving globe, you would tap in to try to feel the motion of the Earth spinning, but you can't. You don't feel it spin.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I used to moon gaze a lot when the moon was full, and it would trip me out because I was like, I swear that moon is moving, but I was like, wait, we must be moving because we are living on a globe. But I knew I wasn't like crazy. I was like, this moon is moving. But yeah.
Another good thing, just one more thing, which I really like too, is, so if we're on a globe, and at the equator, supposedly we're spinning at 1,600 kilometers an hour, or let's make it miles, because that way, when I went to school, this is how old I am, in the 60s we did imperial, and then in the late 60s they converted to metric, so I've got both systems in my head. I still go with yards and inches. But so let's say 1,000 miles here, and it's obviously much, much slower here. I don't know what it is. Does anyone know how much at the Arctic Circle it is?
Oh gosh, I don't.
It's only a few hundred miles, right? So, okay. So, gravity is equal everywhere, is it not? It's because supposedly there's a like a molten hot core, iron core at the center of the Earth, and that's what's pulling everything, right? So, but it would have equal attraction this way as it would this way, right? So, but the differential in centrifugal thrust at the equator is much, much stronger than it is over here. And so, if you're at the, I've been to Ecuador, and I didn't notice any difference from being in Australia. But there has to be differential. There must be, because there's more centrifugal thrust at the equator. Now, when you're playing in the park on one of those merry-go-rounds, and you know someone's standing here and they're turning it around really fast, and there's people here. What happens is if you let go, do you fly inward or outwardly?
The gravitron, you go outward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you let go here, you've got your handles. You know, there's about 10 kids around this circular disc. What do they call it? A merry-go-round or something? What do they call those things that you swing it around really fast and you've got to hang on? If you don't hang on, right, you get flung off. Mm-hmm. Now, at the equator, that that centrifugal thrust has to be factored in to counter the gravitational pull, and there's no differential. It's the same everywhere you go on the planet. So there's no centrifugal thrust at all. Doesn't exist.
Another thing they put their foot in their mouth about when they make a ride called the gravitron, and it does the exact opposite of what gravity is supposed to do.
Exactly. If we're spinning, we should be flying off. And so I'm here upside down, spinning so fast, 1,000 miles an hour, whatever, but gravity knows how to keep my 60-kilo body stuck to the earth, whereas I see butterflies and dust particles and water vapors just flying off, and just gravity has no pull on them. How is that? You know, people don't think things through.
They don't think at all.
They don't think at all.
It's also the propaganda and the science that goes behind it. And once you learn history about certain people and just where all this is coming from, you start to realise that the source is no good. So they're losing at their own science now. So we've worked it all out. Smart people have come up and gone beyond those people. So.
We are pretty blessed with some great researchers, guys. We are really, really blessed. Eric Dubé's work is phenomenal, and even though John the Morgile is a buffhead, that's what we call them in our colloquialism here in Australia. Someone who's got a big egoic head. He's done some great research. Flat water. Zetetic Cosmos. Who's that guy? Zetetic Cosmos. Man, these guys are geniuses.
Mm-hmm.
Without them, I would never be here.
Yeah, Flat Water has amazing stuff.
He's a superstar. I love listening to his voice. I just turn on his videos just to listen to his voice. He's that good. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Thrive and Survive and all of these guys. We've got so many great guys out there. Geonism. We're very lucky to have them, folks. Very lucky. And we're very lucky to have this Syncretism group where we've got the best of all sciences, all of them. Astrology, theology, transcendental science, true geocentric cosmology, spirituality, philosophy. We have it all. This is the best group, and you will be blessed for being here, and you'll be thankful one day that you did your research in this group.
Yay! So I guess we should end it on that note. If anybody wants to stay after, obviously, I'm just taking it off the live broadcast. So thank you again, Santos. We really appreciate it.